The Battlefield 6 open beta just concluded. I played it all weekend, and on this second weekend, I'm here to tell you guys I was initially wrong about this game. Coming into the beta, I had essentially given up hope on Battlefield 6 and really hadn't even paid attention to its development and its marketing. I'm a longtime Battlefield fan. You know, I played 42, Vietnam, 43, and Bad Company 2 extensively for long periods of time, and I've dabbled in virtually every other Battlefield as well. But like many of you, I was repeatedly disappointed and essentially lost interest in Battlefield after getting myself amped up time and time again. I even played Battlefield 6, the beta, on the first weekend and walked away pretty underwhelmed, thinking, well, it's just more Battlefield. And while I do kind of think that my initial assessment is right, this is more Battlefield. After spending more time with it and adjusting to the pace of play, I do think that Battlefield 6 is the best Battlefield game that we've had in a long time. My initial feelings were wrong. This game is worth playing. So we're going to spend this video identifying why Battlefield 6 is worth playing, as well as addressing some of the challenges and questions that it may face when it releases on October 10th, 2025. So let's get going. All right, so why is Battlefield 6 the best Battlefield that we've had in a long time? Let's just address that right off the bat. First of all, based just on this open beta, I already feel that it's the best performing and just the game that feels best just to play moment to moment that we've had, especially at launch, in a long time. And even though this was just a beta, this isn't the final product, for me, it ran very stable. It performed well, it looked good, it felt good. There was nothing in it that stood out like, oh my God, this is amazing, this is insane, other than those classic Battlefield moments, those huge battles where, you know, you got two guys repairing the tank and there's RPGs and other tanks and bombs overhead and revives going off around you. It feels like classic Battlefield, right? No more of the heroes or operators that 2042 tried. You got your medics, your engineers, your assault, and your you know, all that is there. And after playing the beta extensively, I honestly have minimal feedback that I think needs to change. The balance felt pretty good. I do think that shotguns, I think they're very, very, very strong, and I don't think that they need to be nerfed. I think they need to be a primary only and not, you know, assault classes carrying an AR and a shotgun. Maybe a hot take there, but the game overall feels very good. It just takes some getting used to when played, when you're playing other games. You know, I'm coming from a place where I play a lot of battle royales, more on that later. I play Apex, I play Counter-Strike, I play Valorant. You know, I guess I do technically play every Call of Duty every year for a little bit. Been playing a lot of Splitgate 2 recently, Halo, tons of games. And, you know, getting into the Battlefield mindset takes a little bit. It's a game where you really have to be super objective focused on your squad moment to moment. It's not a game where you can just rush in and just repeatedly get that dopamine feedback. You really got to take a step back and, you know, choose your objectives. What class are you going to play? Kind of fulfill that role, all that stuff. Do I squad spawn? What objective are we going after? It really does take a little bit to adjust to, but once you adjust to that, Battlefield 6 feels really good. And of course, this was only an open beta with a few of the maps, a limited choice of weapons. Obviously, not all the weapons that are in the final game are here, but all the modes did feel pretty decent. I do think that Conquest still stands out, the most classic Battlefield mode that there is. The other offense defense modes that are in the beta, I heard a lot of negative feedback about. I don't think they were bad. Again, it just takes a minute to kind of adjust yourself to the mindset between these different modes. And I actually like the small scale modes as well. The close quarter modes felt pretty good. I do think that, you know, for example, the engineer class is virtually useless in King of the Hill and Domination in a 16-player match, for example. But I do think they played pretty well. They have the good sections picked out of the larger maps, bring it down much smaller. And it just helps you get into the game and learn the gunplay and so on very quickly. So again, based on the sampling of what's here in the open beta, I think this has the potential to be the best Battlefield game in a long time. Everything felt good. The maps were pretty good. Everybody's got their favorites. Don't like Empire State too much right now, but you know, what's here is good. It's got tons of potential. Feels like this could be the best Battlefield in a long time. So is that going to be enough to carry the game forward? Is Battlefield 6 being the best Battlefield game in a long time and being quote unquote more Battlefield but good Battlefield, is that actually enough? So I do think that Battlefield 6 is going to strike a chord with the core Battlefield audience. I think it's strong. I think it feels very good. Is it perfect? No, but is it the best Battlefield game we've had in a long time? Yes, I do believe that. So let's take a look at the competition. We've been asking ourselves this question for a long time. Is this the year that Battlefield can take out Call of Duty? And people have been saying this, right, for years. Every time a new Battlefield comes out, is it finally going to take down Call of Duty? We all know Call of Duty hasn't been in a great place for a long time. Even if this is the strongest Battlefield in a long time, which I do think it's going to be, is it going to take down Call of Duty? Strange question in a way, because it plays quite a bit different than Call of Duty. Call of Duty is a very fast-paced, moment-to-moment, kill streak kind of game. Battlefield, although it can be fast-paced and have crazy plays and flick snipes and all sorts of stuff like that in a way, it's a totally different mindset. And, you know, people play Call of Duty for, you know, it's a competitive game. It has, you know, professional players. Battlefield really isn't that. And I do wonder why we've been asking ourselves this question really ever, because despite that they look very similar as products, modern first-person shooters, you know, based on actual combat, I guess originally, at least that was the concept for Call of Duty, taking it back to the World War II original Call of Duty days. Battlefield and Call of Duty really don't play anything alike anymore, and that, you know, Battlefield has the vehicles, Call of Duty technically does as well now. They really don't even feel like from the gameplay and game design perspective, they really don't feel similar. It's two totally different sides of your first-person shooter brain. And, you know, is it possible that Battlefield gains on Call of Duty? Yes, but do I think the actual basic Call of Duty player base will leave Call of Duty for Battlefield in mass? I really don't think so. But will it be a better game? Yeah, that's quite possible. But the actual game that I think that is closer to Battlefield in many ways is the Finals, right? The Finals is an evolution of Battlefield, actually made by some of the old Bad Company team who left and formed Embark. Great studio, by the way. The Finals is a great game. So if you're one of those people who played Battlefield 6 and you're thinking, man, this is really just more Battlefield, I was really hoping for something else, check out the Finals. It's an actual evolution of Battlefield, and while it's not as large scale, it kind of feels that way. The destruction, I think the destruction in the Finals is better than Battlefield 6's destruction, in my opinion. It factors more into the gameplay. The actual modes feel different, and it does actually feel more like a competitive game than Battlefield does. But again, if you're talking about Call of Duty competitors, the Finals, to me, it's more of a Call of Duty competitor, even though it has a very long time to kill and all that, just because it feels more like that, scratching that competitive itch than Battlefield does. And that's not a knock at Battlefield. I just think it's, you know, how they play, it feels different. So if you're looking for something similar to Battlefield, but that's actually different and an evolution, check out the Finals. But okay, let's go back to that question. Is being a really good Battlefield game actually enough in 2025? Well, interestingly, basically the worst kept rumor in the gaming industry over the past year or two is that Battlefield 6 will have a battle royale mode. We don't know 100% if it's going to be free to play yet, because obviously the core of Battlefield 6 is a paid game, a premium game. I do think that making the battle royale free to play makes the most sense. It's going to get a ton of people in the battle royale or the Battlefield ecosystem. It's going to bring in players from all the other BRs, right? Whether it's Warzone, Apex, Fortnite, whatever, you know, just the same reason it was a good idea to add it to Splitgate. I've got a ton of Splitgate videos on this channel, by the way. Check them all out. I'm a Splitgate MVP. We'll continue playing and streaming and making videos on that game. This is a Battlefield video. So in my mind, what will make Battlefield 6 actually stand out beyond just being more Battlefield, a good Battlefield? Well, if the Battle Royale is really good, which the combat in Battlefield 6 is good, then the BR is actually what will attract new players, make it stand out, and potentially make a huge dent in Warzone, because obviously there is some shared DNA there between Warzone and what could potentially be the Battlefield 6 Battle Royale. Bring in new players, help them retain players, even if the core Battlefield 6 modes aren't really their thing. It has a mass appeal across all genres of first-person shooter and third-person shooter fans if you're counting Fortnite, which is third person. And then there's of course Battlefield Portal, which in 2042 had the potential, and in my opinion still was the best feature of 2042. I still think that Portal should be a standalone free-to-play application that has classic Battlefield maps in it. You know, they just like that's what they did with Portal in the beginning. It was classic, kind of the best of Battlefield experience. If they carry that mindset forward with Battlefield 6, and even though it's a Forge like tool where players can make their own maps and Battlefield creations, I think that's good. I think that's healthy for the Battlefield community, ecosystem, players, you know, user generated content. Very important tool that will help Battlefield going forward. I think if they can kind of create this best of Battlefield ecosystem through Portal, where you're getting classic maps like Wake Island and Iwo Jima and all your favorites from the past that aren't necessarily quote Battlefield 6 maps, and that's free. Again, another entryway for players to get into Battlefield 6, support the franchise through just playing it, buying skins, you know, whatever. And then obviously they can buy the core Battlefield 6 for the campaign, the new multiplayer maps, so on and so forth. I don't know what the plans are there, but again, that's another thing that I think will make Battlefield 6 stand out when compared to competition like Call of Duty is Portal, if executed right. And here's the last bit. I want to know what classic Battlefield maps you guys want to see in Battlefield 6. I know there's one already announced. I believe it's Firestorm from Battlefield 3, if I'm not mistaken. I just named 2 of my favorites. Classic maps, Wake Island from Battlefield 1942. In my opinion, one of the best Battlefield maps ever made, if not the best. Iwo Jima, another classic. Would love to see a Vietnam map. I played Vietnam so long ago, I can't even remember the names. I remember the names, but not which one is actually which. You know, the Ho Chi Minh Trail, for example, but I can't tell you which map was the Ho Chi Minh Trail because I played it when I was like 13, 14 years old, and now I'm 38. So anyway, let me know what classic Battlefield maps you'd like to see return in Battlefield 6. And very cleverly, right after the closure of the Battlefield 6 open beta, instantly DICE announced that you can play Battlefield 2042 for the next several months leading up to the release of Battlefield 6. And there's a new free battle pass in the game, which will earn permanent cosmetics in Battlefield 6 for you by playing Battlefield 2042 for the next few months. Not only is Iwo Jima in the game, as you can see on screen here, but also you're going to get all these permanent cosmetics for Battlefield 6 by playing 2042, many of which are throwbacks to Battlefield games of the past, like Bad Company, which is awesome, Vietnam, so on and so forth. So awesome stuff here, and a way to capitalize on the positive hype from the Battlefield 6 open beta. I also just want to take a moment here to recognize Vince Zampella. So if you don't know who Vince Zampella is, he's essentially been placed in charge of the Battlefield franchise since it got reorganized to look forward to the future, starting with Battlefield 6. If you don't know who Vince Zampella is, he was, I believe, the lead designer on Medal of Honor, really far throwback World War II first-person shooter franchise for like the PlayStation 1, as I recall it. He then went on to Infinity Ward, where of course he helped create Call of Duty. Same guy founded Respawn with the help of others. Clearly, all of these games, game development is a team effort. Titanfall, created Titanfall, Apex Legends, and now he is apparently on the verge of overseeing the resurrection of Battlefield. So Vince Zampella, this dude is a gaming legend. I mean, look at that resume. Medal of Honor, Call of Duty, Titanfall, Apex Legends, and then resurrecting Battlefield. Just gotta say, Vince Zampella, damn. So all in all, guys, my final thoughts after playing the Battlefield 6 open beta and looking ahead, I do think this is the biggest step forward that Battlefield has taken in a long time. And if the stars align, not only will Battlefield 6, the core game, does it feel like the best Battlefield in a very long time, which is a step forward in and of itself for the core fans of the franchise, but paired with a battle royale, paired with a new, better, more sustainable version of Portal, things really are looking good for Battlefield in 2025. The best they have looked in a very long time, and I'm excited. And again, I went into this being a classic fan, but a fan that kind of made my peace with, okay, you know, it's not the Battlefield that I remember. It really hasn't been in a good place for a long time. I'm okay with it, right, with my classic memories, but things really do feel good. I enjoyed playing Battlefield for the last 2 weekends again, and I'm gonna pre-order the game. Those are my final impressions. If you're somebody who was thinking of pre-ordering it, my recommendation is that it's worth playing. If that's what you came for, TLDR, Battlefield 6 is looking good, and I can't wait to play it again in October. So the next video, if you're looking forward to what's next on the channel, it's actually going to be called Is Halo Turning a Corner? Another classic FPS franchise that's building some hype for very specific reasons. The next Halo game is about to get announced in October as well, actually. So stay tuned, stay tuned, subscribe to the channel for that video. Check out all our more recent videos on Splitgate 2. We got a marathon video in there, lots of good stuff. So check it out. We'll see you in the next video. See you on stream, twitch.tv/Reynolds. You can follow me on TikTok, X, Facebook, anywhere else you want. We'll see you in the next video. Reynolds out. This video was sponsored by Dracula Byte, our partners for apparel. Go to draculabyte.com, use my link down in the description of this video, or code MARE at checkout for some awesome heavy metal themed t-shirts themed after everything from video game franchises, horror movies, classic retro games. Everything is here, guys. If you like my content, you're gonna like this type of stuff. Some of my favorites here: the Doom collection. Obviously there's some synergy there, but you also got classic horror movies, and again, all the logos look like classic, like 80s metal band, 90s metal band t-shirts. There's all sorts of awesome game movie stuff on here. Check it out, Dracula Byte, code MARE at checkout, and you'll support this channel whenever you buy something. So get yourself a shirt, support the channel. Thanks for a lot.